This part's going on YouTube, y'all. So whoever's in here and whoever is watching this is gonna be in the YouTube video. So y'all, we are making some TikTok hand couples trend thingy. It's if you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you be on TikTok every day, you know. But if you don't, then you'll see. You finna see what we finna to do. But here are the colors that we got. Of course, my favorite color, baby blue / blue. Her favorite color, pink. And then we got white. And then we got black. These are the 4 colors we are using. And then we got our little canvases. And then our gold and silver brush. And they're both blue. I call silver because I hate gold.
That's what brush I gave you in the first place.
Okay. I don't know what the fuck we do first. Paint the whole board?
You want me to see the video? Or I'll just tell you?
You tell me.
Okay, so I'm about to... Yeah, you just have to paint the whole thing black.
Why couldn't I do that?
I don't know. Thanks for some water.
Hell yeah. I'm not a painter.
You literally just paint the canvas black.
That's hard. Yo, look how fucking black that is. God damn. It's blacker than fucking black. It's blacker than midnight. And midnight is black. No such thing as that.
Too much paint.
There's no such thing. No.
I'm about to do
You're supposed to. You should know that you're an artist. If you paint a picture, you gonna paint just the top.
Yup. Way too much paint. I got less paint than you because it's on twice. But I can't see them.
That's how you hold it? The fuck is wrong?
I do.
Why are you doing it like
I
that?
don't know.
Is that what you're supposed to do?
No, I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do. There's no just for art.
Yes, there is.
Well, I put too much
You gotta use a palette a certain way. That's a rule.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. If you want a certain color, you gotta mix them a certain way. That's a rule. Yes, you do.
Wait, so just paint all.
And then if you add too much of one color, you won't get the color that you want.
You need to wipe some of your paint off too.
No, the fuck I don't.
Yes, though.
It's gonna dry, babe. That's why we gotta wait.
But you don't want it to dry clumpy.
What?
You don't want it to dry clumpy.
That's not gonna happen.
Yes, it will.
No, it won't.
Okay.
See, look. That's not.
Look at
Trust, that shit is not happening.
Okay.
I think mine looks better than yours.
No, I don't. Mine's way better.
Why are you going down instead of to the side? I feel like the side is better.
I do.
Babe, I'm not telling you to do the side. I've said, why are you going down instead of the
I
side?
always paint like this. has long strokes.
That was nasty. Don't ever say that again.
It is, though.
I don't care what it is. It's 2024. Don't say that shit again.
My apologies.
You gotta say that shit differently.
I like to go longer.
That's karma. Cause you wanna keep fucking up and saying that dumbass shit.
I'm gonna take a shower.
You have to take a shower because of some paint?
Yes.
Are you serious? Girl, that is extra. That is extra. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You got on your arm. Not your coochie, not your ass, not nowhere else.
Look, it's all over me. Please.
It's on your arm.
On both my arms. I'm going to take a sink shower.
You're gonna wipe your arm. What the fuck?
You gotta wash it off.
Off your arm, yes.
Okay, this looks pretty good. If I do say so myself. Okay, I'm done. Just need it to dry. Yeah, oh, I have something for you.
What are you guys doing? I'm confused.
What, Nani?
The food is done downstairs in the stand.
Okay. I know.
Put water in there and put that thing in there.
I did, yeah. I put the water in there with the flour thing in there. About it like that. Good job. I'm about to go wash my fingers because I'm done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This. I'm probably gonna insert like a clip for the people that don't know what we're doing. I'll put a clip inside the little video to show y'all what the fuck we doing. But as of now, we are letting this run. It's about to be 24 hours. Hold on, chat. We cleaned it in our hands and stuff. I think I missed a spot. Yeah, most for sure did. Nope, that's whatever. Good thing I had no. Yeah, good thing I had no. Is this mine? Why is it taking so long?
Why am I going? Oh no. I've always made y'all. Oh, maybe it's the fan on.
What?
Maybe it's the fan on.
Put that heater. Yours is dry. We're cheating.
Do you have tape? I forgot we need tape.
What do we need tape for?
The line. We could just put the date at the bottom. Okay. It's fine. The brush is really hot as heck.
I'd like to start off by saying that Christmas is my all-time favorite holiday. However, every year, I remember what happened to my family on Christmas of 2019. I was 12 years old at the time. That year we went to my cousin's house to celebrate Christmas. It was a very fun night, and we enjoyed each other's company. We decided to stay at my cousin's house for the night and leave early the next day. We settled down in the guest bedroom and soon fell asleep. Suddenly I woke up at 4 a.m., hearing noises coming from downstairs. Against my better judgment, I decided to go check it out. As quietly as I could, I crept down the stairs and looked through the wooden railings into the living room. I saw a figure that appeared to be dressed as Santa, looking under the Christmas tree. I went back upstairs and woke up my dad. "Hey Dad, Santa came back. He's downstairs." After my dad became fully awake, he seemed alarmed by what I said. We went downstairs to find no one inside the house. My dad told me that I might have just had a bad dream. We went back to bed. The next morning, when everyone woke up and was getting ready to eat breakfast, my uncle went down to the basement to grab some drinks. When he noticed that one of the basement windows was completely shattered. After the initial shock, my dad and uncle checked the whole house to see if anything was missing or damaged. After they were done searching,
y'all subscribe to the
they
YouTube.
rejoined us in the kitchen.
That's my face.
But before they could say
It's
anything,
not.
a loud crash came from
Make
the
sure
one
y'all
place that
subscribe.
wasn't checked.
Like you
The
said.
attic.
Or else.
My dad and uncle immediately ran upstairs to check it out. A shouting match followed. We all ran outside and the police were called. When the cops arrived, the officers quickly ran inside the house.
Why?
A short time later, they brought a man dressed as Santa outside.
Laid it on there.
We later found out that the man had a large knife on him. The officer stated that it wasn't just my cousin's house that was broken into. There were multiple reports of break-ins up and down the block.
Now,
Before I end this story, there was something that I overheard the cops saying that might be entirely unrelated to this break-in. Apparently they have been dealing with attempted kidnappings of young children.
because it's negative 85 million degrees out motherfucking side. What the fuck?
This story happened in 2016.
Of course it's gonna be
At the time, I was living on my
85
own in an
million degrees in
apartment with
here
my
if it's
dog,
negative
finishing
85
college.
million degrees outside.
That Christmas, my dad was only 350 miles or so away from me, 2 states away, as opposed to being over 2,000 miles away in my home state. So my mom flew
So guys,
and
I
I
hope you
drove
had
in
a
with
good
my dog,
Christmas.
so we could
Like I
spend
did. I
Christmas
had an
together.
amazing Christmas.
The trip there in the first
it's
week
not over
was
yet for
great.
me.
It was my
Might be
first
over.
time living away from home,
No,
so it was nice to be with my parents again.
As soon as I started
However,
the
the day
live
before
talking
Christmas
about
Eve,
Merry
my mom found out
Christmas,
that my dad was
I
having
started
an
the live
affair,
yesterday.
and that kind of threw a wrench into things. Needless to say,
God, for real, some of
they
y'all is
fought
in the
all
future.
day
For real.
into Christmas
It's
Eve.
probably
and
2025
I
for
got
some
fed
of
up
y'all.
quick, but I had driven there,
Yeah,
so
that's
all I had to do was go in my car and drive back home. My parents were upset when they saw me repacking my
We're
car.
cheating.
It was now 7 a.m. on Christmas
Cheating
Eve,
through the process.
but I didn't really care.
We are. Nobody does
I
this
spent my
shit.
Christmas
Yes,
on
a
the
lot of people do
road
that.
and be in the
With
Why
the
middle
are
of
heater?
this
you
drama.
blow dryers?
This ain't a blow dryer.
There was a lot of
Basically.
snow, but the
No.
weather had slowed down for the past
A
few
blow
days,
dryer blows more
so I
and it
knew
would
that the
be
roads would
faster.
be clear, and my car had 4-wheel drive. So I set off and spent the first hour of my road trip
Fuck.
just angrily venting everything to my dog. I filled up my car before I left because I knew that the drive from my dad's apartment to my college town would be exactly 1 tank of gas. So whenever I needed to refill again, it would be in a familiar
On my
area.
pinky.
About 2 hours in, I wanted to give my dog a bathroom break to avoid any accidents in my car.
Yo, we got an
That's when I
hour
pulled
left
into a deserted rest stop
until I'm off
to do
this,
just
and I
that.
officially
I
completed
hooked him up to his harness
24
and made sure that I had
hours.
my keys, phone, and my flashlight.
Now that I think
I was
about it,
coming
I
up
could
after
easily
him.
do a subathon.
When I realized that he was doing
30
these
days
low,
straight?
rumbling noises, the sound
All I
that
need,
dogs
I don't
make
need,
when they
I
see something,
really don't need cameras all
he began
over
kicking
the
up
house.
snow with his hind legs.
The Shay
Now
is
is
doing a
probably a good time to
subathon, and he
inform
doesn't
you
have
that I
cameras
don't
all
have
over
a
the
big,
house,
scary dog.
just in his room.
He's a barely 10-pound Yorkie.
So if I wanted to
The
get down,
Christmas
it,
sweater that my mom made for him didn't exactly help him look more intimidating. He may not be a guard dog, but he is a good motion sensor alarm. I I looked up to see what he had been barking at, expecting it to be an animal.
This should take it forever,
It
y'all.
wasn't.
You would think
It
that
was
was
a
on my phone.
distinctly
Right?
human figure in the distance.
Because the heater was
Had my dog not alerted me, I would have never noticed.
big
There were
head.
not any other cars in
How
this
is not
parking
big?
lot, and this place was fairly isolated.
Big girl.
It was unnerving. I scooped up my
She
dog.
said,
and went
she's
back to
over
my
here
car.
sitting like me.
Normally, when I picked him up,
Who
my
taught you
dog
that?
would stop
Not
barking
me.
at
Oh my
whatever he
gosh,
sees.
so my mom said
But
the
that was
reason
not the
why
case this time
I
around.
started drinking pop.
He kept
was
squirming in my arms so we could look
You
behind
mean
me.
because of my
I was
grandma?
getting more
Could I
and
be
more
around
worked
you
up
if you drink
until
pop?
he
I
was
don't
almost
drink pop.
clawing.
You
Sometimes-
drink pop because you want
When we
to
got to
drink
my
pop.
car,
Last time you drank
my
pop here is
father
because
was back again.
Huh?
So you
feeling
actually
And
kept
this time,
influencing me?
I don't
the figure
drink
was
pop.
much closer.
No, because that one time
Because
you
he
said
was
that
full on
Coke at
sprinting
McDonald's
right at my
be
car.
good, and sometimes you still it's
I
with your
panicked
grandma's.
and threw my
so,
dog into the
Because she
passenger
gets
seat.
Coke.
something
I quickly
messed
got
up
in and
my
locked my
brain,
doors.
Like made me want to drink Coke,
But
so
of
now
course,
I drink Coke.
My car would
It's not my
not
fault.
start.
It's not my fault.
I had never had this problem before, but the engine was not wanting to turn over. My dog was now in the back
That's
seat,
how
scratching
you
at the
drive.
windows, and was going insane, barking and growling.
Yours been dry
The man reached my
for like
car.
5 years.
He resembled any other homeless man I had ever seen, with layers of slightly torn jackets, some dirty jeans, with shaggy hair and a beard. He went from his sprint to a slow jog once he got into the parking lot.
No, I'm
When
not.
he approached my car, he slammed his hands against the driver window.
I need a ride.
He sounded out of breath, but very monotone. Sorry, no. I'm about to call a tow truck, though. If you need a ride, you can get one from him.
That shit is not gonna dry.
I knew that I looked and sounded scared, and the man started pounding on my window again with both fists. He said something about being cold and needing a ride into the city, and that it was Christmas Eve. But at this point, I had stopped paying attention to him and was just focusing on trying to get my dog to calm down. He was still losing his mind in the back seat, still barking, growling, and scratching at the window. My dog has never before or since acted this way towards anybody. While he's not very fond of strangers or
Almost.
new people, he's always been the type to basically ignore strangers or any of their attempts to get his attention. So for him to be going crazy like this was a massive red flag for me. I held onto his
Why do I
harness
feel like
again
y'all
to
can't
relax,
hear the video?
and I told the man that if he was cold, he could wait in the restroom for the tow truck to arrive. He
It's
motioned for me
okay.
to roll
When
down
I
my
edit this
window,
video,
and I shook my head no.
we'll find
I
out.
finally just put my hands over my dog's mouth, shushing him, and told the man that I couldn't help him. He looked angry, and then tried to open my door. Thankfully, it wouldn't budge, but it made my dog squirm out of my hands and went full-on ballistic again. I pulled out my phone to dial 911, and the second he realized what I was doing, he stepped back from my car and rushed into the bathrooms. Him leaving made my dog instantly lay down and relax. I explained to the dispatch what was going on. The lady was very nice, and she sent a police officer to the rest stop and agreed to stay on the phone with me until he arrived. The man came out of the restrooms and back towards my car. I began to panic again. But when he came close enough, I assumed that he could still hear me on the phone with the dispatch, and that made him run off in the direction he had originally come from. It took 15 minutes for the officer to find me. When we talked, we agreed that it was super expensive to get a tow truck out here on Christmas Eve. So I ended up deciding to call my parents to tell them that my car had broken down. My dad had a big pickup truck and was able to borrow a trailer
Okay,
from
chat.
a coworker.
Fucking fuck.
The officer allowed my dog
Alright,
to sit in
chat.
his cruiser to warm up while he looked
We
around and followed the man's
Officially
footprints for a
got
while.
them both dry. Look at how perfectly motherfucking black they are.
My parents arrived around 2 hours later, and the officer helped my dad load the car up onto the
What the
trailer.
heck? You can see my thumb mark.
I didn't plan on telling my parents anything more than my car had just broken down.
Which
The
one looks
officer
better,
filled them in
mine?
about what happened anyway. Both of my parents then felt awful
care.
about everything.
You can't
They
see the one
decided not to
this.
fight anymore, or at least in front of me.
Okay.
Mine looks fucking
My dad was able to fix my car,
Yep.
but I think the entire
Okay, now
situation
what?
really scared both him
So I
and my
came
mom,
on and think- and
because they ended up trading my car in for a new one the day after Christmas.
and then
They
I
told me
do
to consider it a late
my
Christmas
name
gift
and put
and an
on
early
yours.
graduation
Yours is
present.
gonna be bigger than
My
mine.
mom insisted on driving home with me when the holidays were
No,
over
her hand is not big
and flying
enough.
out of
Dang,
my
your
city
hand
instead.
is bigger than mine.
I never received
I'm
any
telling
updates
you.
from the police if they ever
Then
saw or
what?
heard
Your
from that
whole
man
hand is gonna
again.
block mine.
No,
Hopefully
it's
he's
not,
learned his
'cause
lesson
we're
about
just gonna put it a
harassing
little
people at
off.
rest stops.
And no, we're gonna switch hands, so you're gonna
On
use
Christmas
your, like,
Eve in
left or right hand.
1989, I
And
was
I'm gonna
traveling
put
through Mexico
everything.
City in my boyfriend's car.
Okay, it's gonna look fine.
He was driving and I was navigating. There were Christmas decorations up along the streets and most of the traffic was moving at a snail's pace, taking care not to hit the dense pockets of people walking up and down the street.
You have to put
We
your
were in a
hand
hurry
down
though,
yours, and I
so
put
my
my
boyfriend
hand
turned
down
off one of the
mine,
main
and those
roads
both
and we
drive.
cut down a side street to avoid the congestion.
So I put a chunk of
We made a few more turns and suddenly stopped when we realized we didn't have a clue where we were. I opened the map while my boyfriend put the car in park and lit up a cigarette. I was tracing our route on the map
I
to
do it straight
backtrack
or
us
at an
when
angle.
something struck our car hard on the front side right next to me.
It'll be better if we do it at
I
an
caught a
angle,
glimpse of
make
a
it like
figure
this.
slam into our windshield and bounce forward off the car. I cried out in
You gotta
shock
do
while
it.
my boyfriend stuffed his cigarette in the ashtray and stepped out of the car.
Okay.
This is where the experience became strange. I've never shared this before with anyone other than my closest friends and family who I trust. While my boyfriend was climbing out of the car, I saw the figure who struck us stand up awkwardly, holding his head and limp across the street. My boyfriend completely ignored him and bent down to look at the front of the car. I rolled down my window and called out, "Hey!" to the man as he limped away. My boyfriend, thinking I was yelling at him, called back to me, "Don't get out." I called back, "What? Why?"
Grab me.
And my boyfriend stood back up and I noticed blood on his pants from where he had knelt down. "He's dead," my boyfriend said, and he rubbed his face. "What? No, he's not. He's..." I turned and started to point in the direction the man had limped away in, but he was gone.
How'd you burn your finger?
I got out of the car and stood up.
Nothing's hot.
I saw enough to understand what my boyfriend meant. The man we had struck had flipped off the windshield and caught his head in a storm drain. His neck was very clearly broken and he was bleeding heavily from 2 different compound fractures in his legs where he had struck our car with his bike. The bike itself was lying on its side by my feet, the front wheel bent sideways and the back wheel still spinning. I was in shock and kept jerking my head back and forth down the street the man had looked down on and the figure at my feet. It didn't make sense. They were wearing the exact same clothes. How many people did we hit? I asked my boyfriend. He looked at me like I had hit my head. "Only one," he replied. Then he started waving his arms to flag down a police car. I sat down on the sidewalk and stared at the ground, feeling like I was going to be sick. I wasn't crazy. I hadn't seen a ghost because I had seen the shadow of the man cast on the stone wall behind him as he stood up and limped away. But there he was. The exact same man who had stood up right there on the ground in front of
This shit
our
about
car.
to be perfect.
The police blocked off the area, examined the bike and our cracked windshield, and determined the guy had been speeding down the hill on his bike and struck us without applying the brakes. They asked me what I
You're
saw,
so
and the best that I could
juicy.
do was stammer that it happened so fast. I thought we had hit 2 people.
Your hand is just...
We got a ride from a family member to my boyfriend's house, but I was still in such a state of shock that I couldn't even touch the dinner that had been prepared for us. People have since asked if the man who stood up was bloody or if I could see the whites of his eyes. Honestly, I don't recall
That's so much
seeing
better.
either. All I could say with certainty is that he stood up, held his right hand to his head, and limped away. He didn't react to my boyfriend stepping out of the car. I don't know if I believe in ghosts or life after death, but if that's the case, this man was physically reacting to the impact that had killed him, seeming not to have noticed that he was dead. Occasionally I dream about that night and that impact, but in the dream I never see the man stand back up. I see a bright flash of light and then nothing. No details of the man himself after the hit. I never even found out the man's name. It was the worst Christmas of my life.
I literally put paint to wear a video like that.
My goal in writing this out isn't to have it shrugged off as just another entertaining online horror story. I sincerely want to know if this experience
It's a
or
heart!
anything similar has happened to anyone else. That may help me sleep better at night, knowing that it's not all just in my head. I'll admit that I suffer from PTSD, but this is so much different from anything else that I've ever experienced.
It's a heart!
In my episodes. Last Christmas, my friends and I had planned to meet at our hunting cabin and have a rustic holiday detached from the rest of the world. We were planning on just lighting a fire, having some drinks, listening to some music, and playing some cards. I arrived at the cabin first, just as the sun was starting to set. The cabin was set alone on the top of a rocky
There you
slope
go.
overlooking the highway. So I turned
No,
on
in the
light
corner.
so it could be seen from the road. I got the fire going and threw the beer into the icebox to chill. It had snowed the night before, so after I warmed up the cabin, I went outside and shoveled some openings by the driveway
I'ma whoop
for the
your
cars
ass.
to park in. The entire time I was outside, I had that feeling that I wasn't
But you
alone.
making it too
Not
difficult.
necessarily that I was being watched.
If you would have
But
did
I
like
don't
that,
have
would have been
enough
more
time.
complicated.
I shook it off as paranoia. Unless they were here for the
How you
cabin,
do it on
there was no reason to be this far up the hill. There was nothing else around except for
She
trees and
ruined
power
it,
poles.
y'all.
I
I
didn't.
went back inside and noticed a couple of missed calls.
Why are
on
you
my
trying to
cell phone.
actually curve it? That's what I'm saying. You're not making it look like that. No, it's not. It's not. That's a 90-degree heart, y'all. She made a 90-degree heart on my shit. Guys, and I messed up at the bottom now. Now I gotta make another heart.
No, that's your thumbprint.
Clearly someone was trying to get my attention. I
No,
paused
she
and
just
looked
made
up.
a 90-degree heart on my mouth. Mine is
Can I
literally
fix it?
straight.
Came
I'm
from the
about to
back
fix my
window near the
finger.
kitchen
No, that's
sink.
what I'm.
It was the exact opposite direction that someone should be approaching
You already
from.
made it 90. I
That
can't.
side
You
of the
already
cabin
made it
faced
90
the woods.
degrees.
I stood up slowly,
my other
walked
one is
over to the
straight up.
window and peered out, half
That's
expecting
fine.
to see one of my friends pranking me.
Don't
But
look
there was
like
no one at the
Oh my
window.
gosh.
I peered out across the small area behind the cabin, and I couldn't see any movement.
I got
I
one
walked
heart
over
that's
to the
like
back
this.
door and
Well,
opened
hers
it,
is like this.
shining a flashlight out into the misty gloom. And by the trees, I noticed an outline of a figure. I called out,
Do I need to grab
Hey.
the heater again?
and took 4 steps out into the snow when I stopped. The crunching of the snow beneath my feet
Don't
was
make this
as loud
YouTube
as
video shitty because I
fireworks.
just said that.
And I glanced down at the tracks I made leading away from the front door. Then I slowly turned the flashlight beam over to the spot beneath the kitchen window. There was no tracks at all. For about 10 seconds I just stood there, looking back and forth between the trees and the window. I then turned around and marched back
I
inside,
wish my skin
slamming
was
the door
pink.
behind me. I set the flashlight down, furious with myself, convinced I was having another episode, sensing danger where there was none, being distracted by stray shadows and sounds. I sat back down in the chair by the fire as another rapping sound came from the front door. I heaved a sigh of relief, presuming that some of my friends had arrived. I stood up and opened the door. There was nothing. None of my friends were at the door. No cars parked in the yard. No footprints in the snow. I felt a cold sensation sink into the pit of my stomach.
We're gonna
It
have to
had
use
nothing
both
to
of our
do with the
hands.
weather. Someone was out there, taunting me,
Should we have watched it?
distracting me,
Fuck no.
keeping my attention away from the other side of the house. I was suddenly convinced that someone was trying to break in. I grabbed my sidearm from my bag and picked up the flashlight again. And I searched both bedrooms, the bathroom, and the small closet where the water heater was kept, clearing any place where anyone
That's
could be
a
hiding,
bigger than mine.
making sure all the windows were locked. As I moved back into the living room, I glanced out the side window and saw the shadow of an adult man, maybe 5'7", cast itself across the front lawn by the glow of the porch light. I had him now. I flung open the front door and pointed my weapon. But again, there was nothing. No figure, not a whisper of movement, and no footprints in the snow. I held my ground. I wasn't crazy. That hadn't been the shadow of a I scanned the yard with my
I appreciate that follow.
going over every inch. No footprints except for my own. The back door then slammed behind me. It didn't shudder. It didn't swing shut. It slammed. I spun around and nearly fired off a shot. I then sprinted to the back door, flung it open and aimed, only to be greeted by the single set of footprints I had made before. I shut both doors and locked them, shut off all the lights until the place was only illuminated by the fire. I put my gun in the filing cabinet, locked it,
I don't think it
then
matters.
dropped the key in the jar.
Oh my god, where the fuck Paulo's coming from? I appreciate the follow,
various
y'all.
windows from across the cabin,
Like this.
forcing myself to ignore them and remain calm. I didn't catch a glimpse of any other shadows from outside, but I wasn't really looking. I saw the headlights of my friend's car pull in. I stood up,
so
turned all the
cute.
lights back on, and greeted them at the door, as if nothing was wrong. For the rest of the night, I drank with my friends, and kept a smile on my face, not giving any indication that anything was wrong. We decorated a mini tree, and played cards and had fun. That
Keep
night, I
going,
slept on the
guys.
couch
Thank you so much.
and ignored the sound of footsteps walking
Thank you,
across
thank you,
the
thank
room.
you. The grind never gonna
Now, I
stop.
would have
Trust.
dismissed all of this as just
Best
being
believe.
in my head, and I wouldn't have taken the time to write it down and share it with you if it wasn't for what happened the next morning. I was making coffee.
Oh my god, yo, look how blue that shit is. What the fuck?
His
Look
wife
how
was outside
blue
the
it-
bedroom
My
and asked him if he
juice.
saw anything.
Fuck
I
it,
asked
fuck
what
it,
they
you have a
were
cap
talking
on it.
about, and he replied, "We heard the sounds of footsteps on the roof last night, but there were no footprints up there through
Blue
the
and
snow."
pink hands, y'all.
The best story my grandfather ever told me happened back when
Yours
he
is
was
ombre.
18 years old on Christmas Eve in 1959. He was lying on his couch with a broken leg, which was perched on the arm of the couch, all wrapped up in a cast. He was listening to the radio and watching the snow fall outside as he used the poker to adjust the wood in the fire. It was about 8 p.m. and he was alone in the house. His family lived
How long
in
y'all
the
still
middle of
live?
nowhere in Kansas, and his
Uh,
father and brothers were
We got
across
30
the
minutes
river.
left and then we end it.
Roughly about a mile
30
away.
minutes, so this was like the ending project, you feel me?
He
Aww.
was reading something in the newspaper about President Eisenhower.
My hands are purple
when
now.
there came a furious pounding at the door.
I don't think you
An
have
enraged
nothing
voice screamed from the other side of the door that Owen, my great-grandfather, was going to die tonight. My grandfather didn't respond to this. Unable to move off the couch, he pulled the rug across the room. The fireplace
It's
was
so
in reach,
slimy.
and he picked
Let's
it
see
up
what
and
color
cocked
this
it,
is.
pointing it
Blue?
towards the
It's just gonna be blue, that's
My
lame.
grandfather
Your
says
blue
for the
color
next
is
5
strong.
to 10
Wait.
minutes, the man continued screaming, circling the house, and pounding
Nah,
on
W's, y'all,
windows,
W's.
screaming for Owen
There
to
you
come
go.
out.
Now you can make purple.
He was clearly drunk and
My
out of his
whole
mind and wasn't leaving the house until someone opened up. My grandfather
God,
winced
so we
as the
can
man
move?
banged on
Why
the
did I
window
rub
right
it in
above the
like
couch,
lotion?
but he still didn't
No, it's
move
not
or
too,
acknowledge
that's
it.
not too different
Look at
from
my
that.
nails.
Finally, the man returned to the
Look,
front
they stay
door
like
and
that.
pounded on it until he kicked it in.
Gotta
My
match her.
grandfather said that he felt the blast of cold air and the stench of tobacco and
should put
whiskey as the
fingerprints
man
on
stomped
the
through the dark
No,
hallway
it's
and
not.
walked right
You said
into
you
the
don't want
living
to do
room. He was a tall, lanky guy
No,
with
it's
brown
not.
teeth
Wait,
and an
let's not
uneven
do that.
gray beard, like he had only shaved part of his face.
Alright, but yeah, we basically done.
The
We
guy's
gotta.
eyes were as big as hubcaps, and
I
he
don't know
was
what we gotta do
barefoot,
now.
which
We
was
should have
crazy
did the
as it
hearts
was
with our
snowing outside.
fingerprints.
For about 10 seconds, the guy didn't even notice my grandfather, but was glancing around the room
Where?
quickly,
Wait,
his
where
eyes
you
darting
at?
back and forth like a rat, until his eyes fell upon the couch.
Where at?
He saw my grandfather, he saw the shotgun,
Oh, go ahead.
and he froze like a deer in the headlights. My grandfather cocked the hammer back on one of the barrels. He had him dead to rights, and the intruder knew it.
Fucking
My
ugly ass
grandfather
heart.
snapped. The man took a step back, looking more enraged than afraid. "Where's Owen?" he hissed. "Get out!"
What?
Grandfather
He's so
yelled.
cute!
The guy turned around, walked into the
That's
kitchen,
karma for
and
doing
opened the
that.
pantry until he
That's
found a
racist.
pint of whiskey. He even
Why
turned
is-
around
why
and
are
looked back
thumb
into
so
the living
fat and
room
just-
just to
Alright,
make sure
y'all,
the
we about to
shotgun was still
go.
up.
I don't know about our face. We gonna have to take a shower later, but we gonna wash our hands and shit.
Back over his shoulder.
We'll be right back.
Tell Owen I said Merry
Go, go,
Christmas.
go, go.
Once the guy was outside, my grandfather
We'll be
hurried
right back.
to the pile of firewood by the
I appreciate the
steps.
follows again.
After another minute, he smelled smoke and realized the guy had set fire to the pile, likely intending to burn the house down. My grandfather hobbled over awkwardly, shotgun still up, barely able to hold it straight on his bad leg, and appeared outside.
I feel so
The guy was gone, but there was so much snow around the fire and so much icy wind assaulting it that the fire was already nearly out. When Owen and the others got back and saw the charred marks on the
Oh my
front
God, I
stairs,
just
they
fucked up
asked
my
what
mouse and
happened,
shit.
and my grandfather told them everything. Owen flew into a rage with the shotgun and followed the guy's tracks out across the
my
fields with a
gosh.
lantern. He didn't come back until Christmas morning when the family was all gathered in the kitchen for breakfast. Owen tossed the gun down and hissed that the fucking thing hadn't even been loaded. When my grandfather asked if he got him, Owen nodded and responded,
Wanna hold these up?
"Oh yes."
Oh, we
And that
can't
was
do
it.
You can't touch the
He
back.
never got my great-grandfather Owen to report exactly what happened or even know how he knew the man. My grandfather said that he never saw the stranger ever again.
Wanna do
I asked him if he thought Owen had killed him, and he responded, "I'm almost positive that he did." When I asked, "But how did he do it with no ammo in the gun?" my grandfather looked back at me and said,
Okay.
"There's
W
nothing
thumbnail.
to kill a man with your hands."
I think I fucked mine up.
It's okay. No, I think. Oh, it's okay. No, that's your thumb. That's your thumb.
This didn't happen to
Oh,
me.
you're right.
But a
Alright, Ty,
close
we'll be back.
friend of mine. To avoid any confusion, I will write the story from his perspective. This happened several years ago when I was about 14. My family planned a weekend getaway to visit my uncle in Maine. We would stay in a cabin because my uncle's house was too small to accommodate everyone. We arrived at the cabin on a Thursday night and planned on staying until Sunday. It was Christmas Eve when we got there. I'll give you a brief layout of the cabin. It was a small, single-story ranch-style house with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, a dining room, an outdoor balcony, and 1 bathroom. We then packed our belongings and settled in for the night. The next morning, we headed to my uncle's house and spent the entire day there. We helped prepare a Christmas dinner and had a small fire going outside. After a long day of celebration, we drove back to the cabin, extremely exhausted. I got washed up and ready for bed. However, once I exited the bathroom, I felt a dreadful sensation come over me, an uneasiness in the pit of my stomach. It felt as though something was in the cabin with us. As a side note, I'll mention that I'm a firm believer in the paranormal. I cautiously made my way towards the dining room. When I entered, I looked towards the back of the room where the window was. The moonlight outside had bled into the room, casting a dim glow. When my eyes adjusted, I then saw a dark figure standing in the corner. A pair of red eyes stared into my soul with malicious intent. My next actions are inexplicable. I still have trouble understanding what happened to me when I go back to that night. But I calmly walked towards the bedroom and ignored whatever was hiding in the dining room. I still can't explain it. I should have been mortified, but it was almost like my brain went into autopilot. I eventually woke up at exactly 2:17 a.m. to the sound of heavy footsteps in the hallway. I could have passed it off as one of my parents grabbing a drink, but the footsteps were slow and deliberate, getting louder and louder as they approached my bedroom. My worst fears came true when I heard my bedroom door slowly creak open. I ducked under the covers, hoping that the thing would just leave. But my prayers fell on deaf ears as I felt something sit at the end of my bed. There then came a low, menacing growl. I quickly shot up like a firecracker had just gone off inside my pants. I caught a brief glimpse of a black silhouette with piercing red eyes sitting at the edge of my bed. I then bolted out of the door, screaming for my parents. After calming me down, they asked what the commotion was all about. I told them about the thing that I saw in my bedroom, but of course, there was nothing there now. I was baffled because I knew exactly what I saw. I'm not crazy. I know the difference between nightmares and reality. It's hard to explain the kind of fear you experience when you see something with your own 2 eyes that you know should not be there. My parents did the obligatory lecturing about having a nightmare and brushing off any possibility of a paranormal event. We continued our stay until Sunday and left for home. To this day, I have no idea what I saw in the cabin that night, and I will not be returning to find out.
I've always gone out shopping on Black Friday for many years now, but 2 years ago was by far the scariest experience I've ever had. It was Thanksgiving Day, and I was excited.
Yes, sir. This is what we did.
Keep the date on it.
I'm not. My handwriting is ass. Y'all, we about to paint the date.
Who's white?
Put it on the table.
On the table?
It's wood. Was today? Oh, 25th. Where are we doing it at? Oh, 12/20.
I don't know why I put so much paint. That was fun. I'm gonna do it again.
I'm doing 2024. I can't do 324. You look stupid.
No, I'm gonna pay for that. There you go.
I did 2004.
Yeah, you did really good. That was good.
No, don't. Let's say. Damn, motherfucker!
I kind of want to put our initials on it. I feel like that would be right.
Where?
Like it's hot. No?
No, I just added paint because I thought you were gonna do it. Make up your mind. You gave me a big ass brush.
Really good job.
No, the fuck they not. No, they not. Why is that more pokey?
You want to use this one? Really good job.
No wonder why hers is so perfect. Blink.
So cute.
Oh, hers is more perfect. I fucking hate girls. Why do they always like? Look how I did my 2024. What the fuck is going on there? And then she has a perfect fucking 24. See? Some bullshit. You should have brought like a red heart by that would be so cool. She didn't. But yup. We got officially 10 minutes, chat.
I think that was like
10
a
minutes.
good way to end this.
And these are the finished products, y'all. Hold on, hold that. I'm about to flip the camera. So I see.
Finished product.
That's weird. So like, oh, they look so cute.
This one's mine.
I like our handprints on those. They look better.